It's Kim here. Who else would it be? This is the Bitcoin brief for Sunday, July 20th. Hope you've had a good weekend. We had a pretty great week overall. We kind of um, stayed, break even more or less for the weekend. We're going to take a look at this. We're going to spend a little more time on Bitcoin. Should be about a 5 to 7 minute video, mostly on Bitcoin. We'll touch Ethereum and Solana as well. And if you are not in my Aaron Pro group, go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link in for the Patreon as well, because we will be covering much more. We'll be covering a lot of alts. We're also going to be covering stocks. So the Sunday videos, the weekly open videos, tend to cover stocks a lot more. It's going to be a bigger video. So usually give somewhere between 3 to 5 videos per week. Just depends on the bandwidth and what is available to trade. So let's get started. So mainly I'm going to focus on Bitcoin here. And I think I'm going to get rid of this. I'm not sure what that is. So actually, I'm just going to kind of clear all of this here. And then kind of just, I want to analyze this a little bit from the weekly perspective. First of all, we had a push up all the way to about 119. We actually closed under 120. We've been above 120, but we have not closed there. And I think that's also true for the daily. And so there is some concern here. I don't think there's a lot of concerns. I have kind of joked about the idea of like the 1 month being like resistance here, and so that is something to be concerned about. But right now, that I'm kind of joking about that one, in both directions until we close on the monthly. We still got about 10, almost 11 days to go. So we still have some time to wait this out. And the key thing for the monthly here is if it breaks above the trend line, we're good to go. That's the only criteria that we need. Aaron is suggesting that we do have a parabolic break coming, at least. I shouldn't say coming. Aaron doesn't guarantee things will happen. It's more of a prediction model. It's never 100%. And so that's the outlook for that. We do have the bearish band going downward, which would lead to a bearish consolidation, but we have a parabolic bullish trend instead. And so that tends to lead to parabolic runs. And then what tends to happen is this will actually come down to the extreme, which would be like 7% or 0%. And once that does, then it is game over. That's usually the cycle ending. And you can see right here, so the top here, bottom here, that's one particular instance. Here was another one, 1 and 1. And I think this one was pretty close, but that wasn't the cycle top anyway. So if we get that could be the cycle top. We had one here as well, and that led to the interim top at least. And so that is a concern. We had another one here actually. And so in almost every single case that we had an extremities of 100% bull, 0% bear, that was the top of that area. And if we get one at this point, that is going to be the market top, in my opinion. The good news is, if you're a bull, you have some time, because this says 21%. So given the trajectory of how Aaron goes, the minimum that it would take would be, you take that 21 and divide that by 7, because Aaron works in 7% intervals, and so that would take about 3 months after this completes. Okay, so then you have August, September, October. So by the end of October, if we are still on this trajectory, then that could be the cycle top. I'm not saying it will be. This is a lot of theory right now. It's very speculative. It is vague. And I'm trying to make it vague on purpose, because I don't want you to freak out about this. Trust me, I will be very vocal if this does occur. Okay, but right now, you're in the clear. So we're off to a good start for this video, right? So weekly here, kind of held underneath the zone. We actually got a bearish candle for the week, quite surprisingly. This does lead into a potential bearish wedge here. So you have a 72%, almost 73% here, 0% here. If this current candle closes underneath this high, that ends up triggering the consolidation. Aaron also works on highs and lows, not candle bodies. So that's a big difference there. Excuse me. So if we don't make a new high here, then we are leading to a bearish consolidation, and then we're going to continue to go downward. And so that's another key thing. And to be honest with you, just not to get ahead of the video, but I'm not very much interested in Bitcoin right now. There's a lot of suggestions, which I'll talk about in observations with Otsu, that Bitcoin dominance is pretty weak. The high time frame looks like it's going to drop for a little bit here for Bitcoin, and even if it doesn't, the R&R is not that great. Like, let's say we go to 250,000 Bitcoin, $250,000 for one Bitcoin. Let's say we do that, right? You're only looking at like 250%, okay, or like 150%. So probably not even that, like 125%. So that's not a lot. In comparison to Ethereum, if it goes to 10,000, that's going to be like double that, right? Or if Solana, if it goes back, goes back to its all-time high. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of much better options, that look better than Bitcoin right now. So I think that, the better R&R is going to be elsewhere. So let's go to the daily here. So we can kind of gather. It is kind of like hugging up against the Aaron band. I think if we can zoom in here, I think there could have been a wedge here. I think I could have probably made one, but I don't like this. This is too horizontal here. What I think would be a better outlook here is that you had kind of this deviation here. Actually, it's probably more beneficial to put it like right here, deviated, and then now we're holding this zone. And so I think that we could continue to rally here. Very possible, but I don't like this formation. This looks a little top heavy to me. We keep having these fierce drop downs after these rejections. So we have one here. We have another chance. I think, if Monday looks pretty good, then that's all good and well. But we do have a bullish breaker here, and so this could be your next level to come back down to like basically like 111, a little bit, almost 112. That would be my marker if we come back down. And we have a very thin bullish consolidation here. And so theoretically, that means we should slowly bleed up. But there's also a chance that could come down as well. So right now, I'm kind of neutral for Bitcoin. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very interested in Bitcoin right now. Because most of my Bitcoin I've bought under $20,000. And I'm perfect. And I don't plan on selling it. And so it's safe, right? Like, unless, even if we go down to like $30,000, I'm still going to be in profit. So, and it's not about being in profits or not, but it's like looking at the market conditions. The clear R&R right now is altcoins. Speaking of altcoins, let's go ahead and go to Ethereum. We're going to start here first because Ethereum has clearly went up pretty well. I think I accidentally deleted some of this, so I do apologize. But we had a pretty good run so far. From price point, really since April, since all that the drama that we have for the downward move, it actually has gone 139, almost 140%. So pretty good. Other coins like Bonk have done twice that, and that's completely fine. There's no competition here necessarily, but I've said this quite a few times in the past month. I'd say Ethereum needs to perform well for the market altcoins to perform well, and it seems like we're getting that. Okay, there's a lot more driven interest. There's a lot of coins that are doing pretty well. Like I said, Bonk and other coins are doing pretty good, and even coins like AVAX aren't doing too bad. And so Sonic is warming up, things like that. But overall, like, this brings back retail interest, market interest, NFTs, things like that. And I'm not saying these are going to be hot items necessarily, but it does bring back overall interest, and that's what we need, because that's going to fuel liquidity to the whole market, and the market will decide where that goes to each coin, right? So, but right now this looks pretty good. I did a trade. Now I think a lot of people may think I maybe closed this too early. Sorry, I kind of stuttered a little bit. But I did have a long trade in the trading portfolio for Patreon, and I think I closed it right around here or so. So about like 3 or so. We've gone up pretty good since, about 4R. So we gained another R value. I'm completely fine being out of that. I gave reasons why I got out of that, and so I still think this looks pretty good, however. And so we'll see how that goes. Should I have stayed in? Yeah, obviously hindsight's 2020. But I'm also okay, because the R&R over that, I have a criteria, I have a trading system, and over the span of 100 trades, that trading system tends to stay more on point than not. And so that's fine. I'm not into changing my rules because of feelings, because that will change your profits, or the lack thereof. So, but it is going pretty good. Right now we are approaching the swing high order section here. The low side of that's going to be roughly about $4,000. So I think that we are going to tap 4,000. We're going to possibly reject or consolidate. So you can play these a few different ways. Like I think there's a good chance that we're going to have some struggle here. Maybe not struggle, but some resistance or a tap or some sort. What you want to look for if you're a bull is a consolidation and then long that consolidation. I think that's the key thing. If you're interested in shorting, which I think that's kind of silly at this point, obviously you want to short the rejection if we get it, and probably target 2,800 here. Excuse me, but I don't think that's a prudent option at this time. That doesn't make sense at the moment because we have a pretty good momentum, we have pretty good strength here, so this is looking pretty solid. That being said, we are pretty oversold here, like 87. We could go higher, certainly. Honestly, one reason this is the case is because Ethereum just doesn't rally too much. And all of a sudden it had a pretty good rally, so it gets exhausted quickly. We had this here too, it got exhausted, and then we consolidated. And the fact that this consolidated at a trend here and then went all the way down to like 34 when it held this was a sign to get in as well. So Ethereum, kind of a mixed bag, and so it'll be deceiving. The RSI will be deceiving, the whole layout will be deceiving because Ethereum doesn't get its chance to shine like it used to, but it looks like it's going to. So we'll see where that goes. I want to go to 1 hour really quick and just see if I can look at something here. This is actually a pretty good trend break here. I do think breaks right here are good for longs until otherwise, because you just don't know. I think there's no reason to just say that this is going to be exhaustive until it actually rejects at this point. You have a trend line break here, got the same thing here. You can just kind of work with it, and I think that's kind of how that makes sense to me. So Solana, it's up almost 3% here. Didn't want to really throw this trade in here, but this is one of the trades in our portfolio. It's doing pretty good. Actually, these are both of them here. And so it's going pretty good, getting an uptrend here. We got getting that break of 183. If we get that break 183 by the end of daily close, which is 19 and some change hours away, then we are probably going to rally to 250. And so this is where Ethereum has kind of exhausted on the RSI, even though it's still going to rally. I think it's going to hit that 4,000 marker. Solana, I think, at the time, Solana really, was a, what's the word I'm trying to look for? It was kind of lagging, but now it's starting to accelerate. And so now I think we're going to see where Ethereum is going to start showing some resistance at 4,000, where Solana is going to run to 250 next. And so that's where I think we're going to play some musical chairs. Solana's going to grab some liquidity. It already is from a lot of bonk coins. And so I think that's a good option right there. So just keep in mind, we are approaching into the 80s on our side. That doesn't always mean anything, by the way. Like, I don't want you to think that that's like a fixed rule. That's just something that is, in my opinion, is a good rule of thumb for risk to return. Your risk to return drastically reduces when RSI goes above 80, in my experience. So not always, but like I said, for every 100 trades on the spread tends to be the case. So anyway, that is the video. If you're interested in more videos, again, go ahead and check my link in the Patreon. It's in my bio. I'll probably put it on this if this is an X thread. It's going to be in the replies of that. I'm going to look at some more alts. I'm going to do some reviews on some alts. These are the ones that are flagged here. And then I'm also going to look at some stocks as well. It's probably going to be like a 20-minute video, possibly 25. And so, again, not every video is that long, but I tend to do 3 to 5 videos per week on altcoins, opportunities in the market, and some extra stuff. I got bots in the Discord, things like that. So, but let me know what you think. Happy to share things in the replies and that. And I also hope that you have a good weekend. Let's have a green week.